All right, guys, welcome back. This video, I'm gonna be doing the front suspension. So it's no real surprise because I kind of talked about it before. But I've got these parts that I've had for like probably a month now. I've never even opened them, so hopefully they're what I need, because I'd hate to have to return them. QA1 coil-overs. All right, so inside this box, you've got the, looks like the nuts for the coil-over. Got a spacer or a washer, and then this is the locking one. So this kind of goes up, and I'm assuming this one. Let me pull it out so you can see it. This one goes up into the spring, and then this one locks up against it, and then this is a washer that goes over top of it. I bought this. You got to buy it separate. 7888109. And what it is a like needle bearings and spacers. So you're going to put, well, I'm going to put anti-seize on all this. And then what that will help is when you're adjusting your preload or what have you, your spring, it reduces the friction and just rolls. So there's that. So I've got and that bag is enough for both. It's for a set. Then I've got the second one. This box is the spring. Actually, you know what I never did? I never did pull out the, forgive me. So, okay, I stopped there. So this one right here has got the bolts, nuts, the rubber pieces that you would have like on a typical shock with the spring, I mean with the washer. And then, there we go. That's what we're looking for. That's the heart of the matter right there. So this is dual adjustable. So you can do both rebound, compression and rebound, the dampening. So that's what we've got for the front. And that will allow me to adjust my ride height. And not that I'm any kind of race car guy, but you can adjust it how fast or slow it rebounds and dampens. And I'm going to have to probably read up on this just to figure out like what's a neutral setting at first, and then go from there as you're playing with it. The car, obviously, in whatever environment you're using it in, will determine how you use this, or how you adjust that rather. So that is that. And then, like I said, that other one's the same thing, just for the other side, obviously. And I'm gonna put all this back. And mine's a 78 Trans Am, obviously, so this is the part number that I have for mine. It's by QA1. It's a Golf Delta 501. So this is going to be the spring. So this is the spring, and this is where that's going to come up through here, seat in here, and then this is going to go and seat on the top, like a normal spring would go. And you can buy these with different pound rates or whatever. I think I can't even remember. 400 might sound right, but I did. I looked at it and it seemed 400 was the one I needed. These are all ball joints. I figure since I'm tearing into it, I'm going to replace all my ball joints. These are all Moog. I want to replace all my ball joints since I'm already tore into it. There's no sense of tearing that whole thing apart, and then, you know, it might still be good, but I bought them anyway. I replaced all my Crown Vic ball joints with Moog, and I haven't had a problem with it, and I've had it for, shoot, 12 years now. So, yeah, so this one's gonna be the upper one, it looks like. Yeah, this one looks like it's got the upper one. So I got to drill out the stock one because they're all riveted in. You drill it out, and then they give you bolts and nuts, lock nuts to fasten this one in. Okay, this one's probably the lower. Yeah, this one's the lower. This is the one that's got to get pressed in and out. The old one pressed out and this new one pressed in. Put the little boot on. There's a new castle nut, Zerk fitting, so you can put your Zerk in. All right, first thing I got to do is take out the shock. So from the top side, I'm going to take this off, and then on the bottom side, there's two on the bottom. So I'm not going to crawl under there with the camera to show you how to take a shock off. I'm sure most everybody knows how to take a shock off, but I'm going to work on taking this shock off, and then I'll bounce right back in. All right. All right, so I got the shock off on the driver's side. I thought, you know, it seldom happens, but every now and then you can get lucky and spin this off without holding it, but I had to hold it to get the top off. But the bottom fell out fine, but it's probably needed to be replaced anyway because you can see rust starting to form around the seal or the casing. So that's out. Now what I need to do is I need to kind of going backwards because I should have done this prior to putting all this together. That way it made it a lot easier, or at least at the same time I was doing it, but just before it. But now I've got to take the caliper back off, hang it up. I got to take off my sway bar and then knock this out. And then once I get those free, I can work on breaking the upper ball joint and then the lower ball joint. I'll do the upper ball joint first, loosen it up and pop it. But yeah, so I'm not going to sit there and film just me taking the caliper off, the tie rod, and the sway bar. But that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take off those three things just to free it up so that I can drop the A-arm. Yeah, I'll bring you back in if there's something happens, or if there's a hang up, or after I'm done. All right, guys. All right, so I've gotten the tie rod and the sway bar off, and as well the brake caliper. So ran into just a small issue, but it's one I already knew, and I just kind of overlooked it, and then I ended up paying the price. When you're dealing with these things, and it's happened to me before, when you're dealing with like ball joints and things of that nature, it's good to run the nut all the way off and then run it back on before you break it out, because what happened with me is I ran it out but not all the way, and then when I pounded on it to freaking break it loose, I thought I would just unscrew the rest of it, but what happened is it was still on some crusty threads, and it started spinning the shaft. So when it spun the shaft, I was trying to find something to wedge in there to grab the shaft, and I ended up getting some vice grips and grabbing a hold of it. So I didn't wreck the boot either, so that's a good thing. But it's something just to kind of keep in mind, because it's going to come into when you start dealing with the ball joints as well. So I'm kind of at a stuck point right now, and it's just because I can't find my pickle fork. I had it when I was living in California, and when we made the move, I just never needed to use it. And so I think it's packed up in stuff, because I still got a lot of stuff in my other garage. I still have a lot of things in there. But yeah, I might have to just go buy one. All right, fellas. So before I rent the ball joint installer remover, because it's 48 hours, and I figure I'll get it done in a half a day, but I just figured I'd come out here. What I did is on the driver's side, as you'd seen, I'd taken off the tie rod, I'd taken off the sway bar, loosened up the castle nut, took the cotter pins out of top and bottom ball joints, loosened up the castle nut, and brought the castle nut to the edge so it wouldn't be that far to travel. Obviously, I hung the brake caliper. I did the same thing on this side. One thing, it's the same thing at the same point. One thing, while I did everything, cycled the castle nuts back just to make sure that they could come off and they're not stuck on some Crudio threads. Thank God I had it back on, because as I was over there messing around with something, I heard a loud pop. I knew exactly what it was. The lower ball joint popped out. So I don't even need to use the pickle fork on the bottom one. It popped out. And the reason I'm just bringing this up is you just got to be careful, because you think they're in there solid. Most of the times they are. So I gambled a little bit, took that castle nut off. I wasn't banging on it. I just want to cycle it off and then cycle it back on. But it very well could have cycled it off, and, you know, happenstance or whatever, that thing popped off, and then I would have had springs flying, and probably not be as bad as what it could be. But I mean, you still don't want to put yourself in that position. I still had the upper ball joint over there, so it would have kept it from slinging anywhere. And on top of that, I haven't taken the shock out, so I got to take the shock out as well. So I'd have been okay, but I guess what I'm just saying is just be careful, because some things that we think we're where we're at with something, or the condition of something, may not exactly be that condition. And I think that's why we always have all these safeguards and reasons why we do certain things. But yeah, so just to bring you in on it, that side's done, this side's done as far as loosening everything up. I got to take that shock out. Once I take that shock out, I will bust the upper ball joint off with the pickle fork, do those two sides, and then what I'll do is I'll release and pull the spring out on both sides. And once the spring's out, then I'll go rent the ball joint puller and cycle it in and out. My wife's got off the next 2 days, so I knew if I rented it, I may be limited on time, because she works a lot. So whenever she has off, I try to make sure that I'm available so we can do whatever we want to do. But all right, guys, that's it. I just wanted to show you that little where I'm at, and that castle nut, or the actual ball joint, falling out on its own. All right, guys, later. All right, I busted the ball joint on the upper one on the other side, because the bottom one obviously had popped out already. Still got the nuts on them, so they're hanging on the spring. What I'm doing is I'm trying to make it to where the nut is not all the way on, but not where it will pop off and hurt somebody, specifically me. So I'm just gonna do that, and then take the old pickle fork, and you can wedge it in two different ways. I like to use the flat, so you can see the flat end on the top right there. I like to put that on the bottom, but I suppose it can go either way. And it will pop once it you'll hear it. It'll pop. The camera's kind of in the way. Ah, there we go. It popped. Tell you what, the other one fell out. The other one fell out, and this one said, I'll make up for my brother's inadequacies over there. There we go. That one wasn't hard. Just that bottom one wanted to give a little last hoorah before we took her out. All right. So there we go. Got the top one popped out, bottom one popped out. Same thing on the other side. So what I'm going to do is pull you out of here for now, and then I'm going to set up with a, I've done it in the past, I use a floor jack, and then I break one at a time. So we'll see. All right, guys. All right, so I've got this jack in. If you look up here, here's the ball joint. I'm going to let off the jack, and you can see it come down a little bit. If I pull it up, it takes the, you can see it takes the pressure off that nut. And so what I do, hold on, I want it off, not on. Basically, take that nut out, off. So the nut's off. So basically it's gonna go down nice and slow, hopefully, because if it doesn't, it gets ugly. Okay, you just gotta be real careful on the jack. There you go, see how that's going down? And I know what's gonna happen. Let me tighten it back up. What's gonna happen is the spring is under pressure with the A-arm onto the frame. But what's gonna happen is once it gets and clears that, this is gonna wanna fall out. And I'll try to limit it falling out, but what I can't have is this jack falling out from underneath the bottom, because if that happens, then it really just gives it a path to hit me in the face. I'm just going to check to see what we got going here. All right. And by lowering it nice and easy, you're taking the pressure off the spring and taking its energy away from you, or taking the energy away from it, I should say. See how it's just going down nice and easy? I've already cleared the upper ball joint. So the upper ball joint's good. In fact, well, let me see. In fact, I can loosen this bottom one up now because it's not under any kind of pressure. And that will be, that's the top, that's the bottom. Now what I can do is just slide this off the, if it slides, I got to be careful putting my face under here. I'm going to let it go down a little bit more, just to release a little bit more of that pressure on the spring. Because the further it gets to the ground, the less pressure is on that spring, and less dangerous it becomes. And also, I got to watch out for the angle, because what I don't want the eighth arm to do is just come sliding off my jack. Just making sure, no, there we go. There we go. It's coming nice and easy. I know some of you guys might be cringing that I got my head under here. I just don't know why it's loose. It's not popping off. So let me just jam this pickle fork. There we go. There we go. Just need a little love. I've got all this grease on and everything. Just need a little bit of love. So now I can take this off. Come on. There we go. All right. So the rotor and that whole assembly's off. And as you can see, I just got this spring. Now before, I used to take a a chain, like a heavy duty, like a chain that you might tow with or something, like a big chain, and I'd wrap it around just in case something went crazy. But what I found, oh shoot, what I found is I better freaking pay attention to what I'm doing here. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you something, because it can get ugly quick if you're not paying attention, like I probably wasn't. I mentioned it, but I took my eye off the game, so I'm gonna take another jack that I'm grabbing right now, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come in from the back side, because I'll show you as soon as I get this out of the way. Okay. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hit that A-frame and take some of the, see if I can take some of the pressure off the A-frame. There we go. All right. Whew. Just want to be safe, not sorry. All right, so check this out. This was squared up on it, but you see how that block has slid off and left me with probably 1/3 of that pad? Well, what you don't want is this to rotate out and fall down. So what I did is I used that other jack, took some pressure off of it. Now you can see that there's hardly any. Let me see if I got any. Yeah, it's out. It's out of the way. So what I'm going to do is reposition this, because this little guy is what I want. This little guy is the jack I want, because it's the one. There we go. There we go. All right. All right, now I'm squared back up on it, and I can take the big one out of the way. But that's kind of what I was talking about earlier, and then I failed to follow my own advice. All right, now nice and slow. It's going down nice and slow. All right, basically all the pressure is off that jack stand. So I'll put a little bit on it just because I don't want it deciding it has a little unsprung energy in there, and I'm going to check it real quick. All right. So, you know, the last time I did it on this car, because I put what do you call it? Stiffer springs on it. I don't know if stiffer, nah, it wasn't stiffer. That's where I made my mistake. I thought I was putting stiffer springs. What I ended up putting on was taller springs, and it set my car up. Yeah, so now you can see, or maybe, watch where that spring is in relation to the A-arm, and when I push it down, I don't know, maybe I'm moving it too much. There's not a whole lot of pressure on that spring at all anymore. It's going to be under pressure to where you're going to have to take that A-frame. Yeah, you see, there's nothing on that thing. It's just sitting in there right now. All right, so what I'm going to do is take that jack out of the way, slide it back. It did its job. And then, there you go. There's that last little bit, but it's not enough to really do anything that, you just got to pop that son of a gun out there. It's under a little pressure, so don't let it think it, there you go, see? But it's not enough to really, if you're paying attention to it, it's really not enough to mess with you if you're on top of it. If you're not, I'm not suggesting anybody tries to do what I do, because I don't want to take liability. There you go. There's the, I need to keep this probably. All right, there's one. Now, I need to keep this, probably clean it up because I'm not sure if there's any kit, but you can see, looking at this was a brand new spring. It's just quite a bit taller than the other. And I think what I did, I know what I did. When I got the springs way back in the 80s, I thought by telling them I had a big block in there, heavier engine, that it would give me a stiffer spring. I didn't know anything about spring rates and spring heights and all that. So I thought, well, if I just lie to them and tell them it's a big, if I just lie to them and tell them it's a big block, it'll be a stiffer spring. But when I put it in, I ended up with a 4-wheel drive car. I'm exaggerating a little bit, maybe not too much, but so the whole idea with going with these QA1s too is I can adjust it down, and I don't want a 4-wheel drive. I want a little bit of a, you know, stock's cool, but I want a little bit lower stance. All right, so here's the upper and lower ball joint. I'll get that tool. This will press out. Some people just beat on that to get it out. All right, whatever. But I'm not going to beat on it because I just don't want this thing springing around. And I could even support it, but then how do I get it back in? I still need a spring install or a ball joint installer. This one I'm going to have to grind off these rivets, pop them out, and then the new one comes with a bolt. So just wanted to show you doing one side. I'll do the other side, and if I survive and the spring doesn't come out and mess me up, I'll bring you back in. All right, there. All right, I got the second side done. Removing the spring. Real quick, for some of you old hats there, I was listening to music on Pandora, and one of the songs, a little bit before my time, but I definitely listened to it when I was young. A verse in there is "Alligator lizards in the sky." I know some of you guys probably remember that song. But anyway, yeah, so I got it all off. This one was a little trickier because the spring tension was just a little bit, you had to push harder on that lower control arm to get it to pop out, but got it out nevertheless. I got to clean this all up, and then, like I said, the same thing on this side. I got to grind those off, pop that out, and then I got to get the tool to remove and then install those in the bottom, the ball joints in the bottom. So once I get that tool, well, I got some cleaning to do, but once I get that tool, then it will be all downhill. I'll just start reversing everything, but with the new gear right there. So, all right, guys, just wanted to bring you up to speed where I'm at. Talk to you later. All right, guys, I picked up the ball joint remover press set and installer. So that's what I've got. I'm gonna knock out that bottom one, then I'll go over and do the other side, then I'll clean that up even more. I already started with a wire wheel, getting in there and there's a lot of crud in that the ring seat for the spring. So I'm cleaning all of that out, and then I'll eventually spray some rust killer or whatever. It's surface rust, but I still want to spray something down in there. I also bought these, and they're the tie rod caps. This side, I believe on this side looked fine on the tie rod, but the other side was a little crushed. So you buy them as a set. So I figured, why not? I'll just pop it on. The tie rod itself, ball joint, feels fine. It's just the seal or the dust cover, whatever you want to call it. So this one, it needed to be replaced. You shouldn't be able to just wiggle it around like this. It's not like, I've seen worse, but it shouldn't be this loose. And then this one's a little tighter. It's actually quite a bit tighter, but yeah, it needs to be replaced. If you're tearing everything down, you might as well replace it. So what I'm going to do is set this on the ground and then attempt to knock this ball joint out. Now, so I got the U-clamp, got the bolt, and it's going to go flush till I figure it out. This one looks like it's probably going to go on the bottom, and it's going to go with this one. So what the intent is you go under and you cap it so that the ball joint can fall out in this voided space. And then this one, imagine I could probably knock it out like that. I'm I'm just going to knock it out using that. So it's a little bit of a, put this on here. Okay. Put it under. There we go. And put this on this, that on that. Okay. Now, I think that that's going to be good enough. We're going to see. Some people use impact wrenches to drill this down. I'm not going to right now. I'm just going to try to use this. Not a whole lot of space to. Just kind of see what we got going here. Well, that was not terribly hard, I suppose. Okay, so here it is. That is the ball joint, the lower ball joint. And you see how loose it is. Now when I get the other one, you'll see how much tighter it is. But that's the rubber. This is all garbage. All right, guys, I'm gonna try to grind these 4 rivets off the top ball joint. I was debating whether to go and try to drill them out or grind them out, and I'm thinking I'm going with grinding. Now this cardboard here is just kind of help block the grind from hitting my brand new calibers. So let's start with the back one. Miss me. All right. So I'm gonna try my chisel, see if I can just pop the corner up. Because if the corner can pop up, peel it apart. You can see in there, it's sitting in there, and it's popping up. It just hasn't come out the bottom yet. Let me see if I can chisel this off. There we go. Starting to come. You can see it breaking through now. This son of a gun just don't want to. And you can see up on top too. Right here. Oh, hold on. Where it's recessed, it's starting to come through right there. And then the other one's right here. So on the metal. There we go. So here it is, and its last bit of glory. Now I got to get all these rivets out. So we'll see how. Where's my light at? Is it even working? Oh, it fell down. That's another one out. Maybe that's it right there. Maybe. There we go. All right. So all these little rivets, basically, they're pushed in from the bottom, come up, and hope I'm not getting you dizzy. Pushed up from, and then they're secured. So with this new kit, they don't have rivets. They've got bolts and nuts. So I'll clean this up, and then I believe when I go to the next one, I've got a couple lessons learned. One, don't shave off this because it makes it easier to knock it out. Use this as some support to keep it from bouncing up and down. And just get a little bit of patience. All right, guys. All right, guys. Got it all cleaned up, painted, and now I'm going to install the lower ball joint first. Let's put you somewhere where it's out of my way, but you can maybe see it. That's the whole point of it. All right, so basically I'm going to reverse it. Here's the new ball joint. Doesn't look like the Zerk fitting's in there yet, so I got to put that in later. I'm not going to put it in now because I don't want it to get smashed. So it's going to come up from the bottom, and then before I had this cap on the bottom when I was knocking it out. Now I got to put the cap on top. Put this up on top, and then the ball joint's going to come up from the bottom. It's going to be a little harder because it's facing the bottom now. And I'll back this all the way out. I should probably put my coveralls on, because if I end up having to sit on the ground, I'm going to get all greasy. So I'm going to come up from the bottom. I'm screwing it in a little tighter, getting it tighter. All right. It's got tension on it. So now I'm going to start screwing it in and seating that ball joint. I'm just going to kind of hold on to the seat clamps, kind of keep it steady, see how it works out. It can be a little tricky just because this lower A-arm, you can see it bouncing up and down. All I'm going to do is I'm going to back it out, take it off, and just take a quick look before I start really cranking on it, because I want to make sure it's seating properly. And I can feel under there for the groove. And it is. It seems to be seating. But I probably got to... Well, this side over here, the outboard side needs to be, but I really don't have much control over which side is going in, because everything kind of just lines up. You're coming from the bottom. Alright, I had to take off my sweatshirt. You know what I might need? I might want a little cheater bar on this, just to help get that extra oomph. It's going little by little. It's definitely not trying to be friendly with me. But you really want to make sure this is in, because if it ain't, you're gonna have more problems down the road. Literally and figuratively. Alright. So there we go. Now whew. It's all sealed up on the bottom, and I definitely felt it bottom out. So that lower ball joint is on, and you can see, remember the other one I could move around? You can, but it's freaking hard. It needs lube in there though, so before I start messing around too much, once it's all set up and hooked up, I'll get under there, screw in a Zerk fitting, and then set it up with some grease. All right, so that's that. Here's the boot that goes on it. It just slides on. There's no clip or anything. Yeah, but once you start pushing it down, it will slide into place. It'll slide over that ball joint itself. Right now it's just, I could probably put a little grease on it to get it on, but I'm not worried about it right now. I'll just leave it there for the time being. Now the top ball joint should be quite a bit simpler, because the top ball joint is put on with bolts and nuts. So it comes with a package, has all the bolts, nuts, and then the ball joint. Zerk fitting's already on this one. There's also the castle nut, cotter pin in there, some washers, but this one will go on, just kind of falls into the groove right there. Let me see if I can straighten this out before there we go, just a little bit goes in there. All right guys, I'm ready to install the spring and the shock piece of the coil-over. I already bolted this on. I didn't get it on camera, but there's no real big trick to it. It's a bolt and a nut, and the nut is one of those crush nuts. So basically, as you turn it, it tightens, and it's kind of like a lock nut. It doesn't have the Teflon on it, but it's crushed a little bit. So what I'm going to do is see how I'm going to get you situated here. All right. So I've got the spring. Big end's going to go up top, and the little end's going to come on to the bottom. I've got the shock here. So I'll take that out of the plastic. Out of the way. Basically, it's a warning just saying Permatex anti-seize lubricant must be used on the coil-over threads to prevent galling. I already knew that. So what I've got is rubber gloves on that I can't get the sticker off. All right, I had to take the glove off to get that sticker off. So got a couple of these. One's the lock, and the other one is the one that goes up in the up into the spring. So, but because I've bought and it came with its own washer, but I'm not going to need one of these washers because they supplied me with a couple of them. So what I'm going to do first is, let's see, make sure I've got this going on the right direction. So this bottom one, which is a lock nut, you might be able to see there's that ring. This one's flat. There's nothing here. So this is going to be up because that's the piece that's going to ride up against the other one, the other piece. So I'm just going to freaking spin this on. And now I'm starting to hit the anti-seize. So it's slowing down because the anti-seize is on it, but that's okay. It's spreading it all over the... And I'm going to bring this all the way down because if I bring it all the way down, I can always adjust it up, and what it will do is give me less spring tension to have to deal with when I'm installing these things. Oh yeah, that anti-seize, initially it was just spinning, and now I'm kind of working through it because it's kind of like cold grease, I guess. It's got a little drag on it, but that's all right. You see how I've got the copper stuff? You probably want to use the silver stuff. I mean, you're not going to see it, but if you're worried about what it looks like down there under in the spring, I ran it all the way to the bottom, and then I'm just going to come up a couple threads. There we go. And I'm going to grab another towel because anti-seize is one of those things, as soon as it starts touching stuff, it's all over the place. And so I'm trying to minimize that. All right, so now I'm going to take this one, which is the second one, and this shoulder is going to be up as well. So this one is the one that you adjust up and down to adjust your ride height, and then this one just locks up against the bottom of it. See how that's nice and spinning? And then it gets to the anti-seize and it slows down. But we're okay with that. We are okay with that. I'm going to bring that all the way down as well. Now, this the instructions, I did look at the instructions. I'd have to reread it again, but they've got different settings for this, and it basically says kind of what I was going to do anyway is, if it didn't have it in there, was kind of go in the middle for just street racing, and then, or street driving, and then from there you adjust. If you're using it for the track only, then they have a different setting for it. All right, so I'm not going to discard. I'm going to actually keep it, but this is the one that came with the kit. These are the two that come with this thrust bearing. This kit is extra, like I had said earlier, but it's going to help it when you're going up and down. So what you got to do with this is you put a little bit of anti-seize on the bottom. Okay, I should have gotten the silver one, but you're not going to see it. But I don't know what it is, but I just thinking about it. I'm going to put it around the bottom just a little. Oh shoot, just a little bit. I don't want to make too much of a mess. Like I said, the anti-seize will get everywhere. Put that down. Put one of these washers on it. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take that washer and spin it around a couple of times. Spread that anti-seize out. And now I got that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this needle bearing. This is where my hands are going to get a little dirty because kind of want to put a little bit, 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 a little bit. Kind of like greasing it up. And I bet if you didn't have anti-seize, you could probably use grease, wheel bearing grease on it or whatever. You just, but for me, it said use anti-seize, so I just used it. And I spread it around. Spread it around. And then I'm going to put it over the, you just got to be careful with this stuff because it likes to find its way around stuff. All right, and then this last washer, I'm going to put some anti-seize on it too. So really what you're trying to do is, like I said, buffer the adjusting nut from the spring, and having this will do that. Should make it easier to adjust. Otherwise you'll be cranking on that son of a gun. All right, slide it over the center. There we go. So I essentially just sandwiched that thrust washer between two washers, and it's going to be between that. There we go. It's going to be between that upper nut, the big upper nut with the bigger shoulder. All right. So there we go. Kind of got a little bit of a mess, but that's all right. It ain't going to go nowhere. Then I'm going to put the spring on it and put it in. But before I do that, let me just real quick read the, refresh my memory on this spring setting because it might be easier just to do it now. Yeah, so 18 valve settings on 2 knobs that are independently adjusted, which I got the double adjustable one. Other applications. 2 to 8 click compression and rebound for nice ride and handling. So 8 to 12 for firm ride and improved handling. So I'm gonna go 8-8. I'm gonna go 8-8 initially, and if I don't like it later, I'll change it. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, so they're both pre-adjusted initially. Oh, you know what I was supposed to do? Son of a gun. I didn't read the instructions, but I think what I'm supposed to do, we'll find out. It's supposed to tap these shock holes. Tap it with a bigger. Yep. All right, guys, hold up. What I gotta do is in here, those 2 shock bolt holes, they are just ever so slightly too tight, and it says to drill them out. So I'm just gonna be right back. I'm gonna go drill them out, and then I'll come right back in. All right, I'm back. And when I say ever so slightly, I hit it with a 3/8 drill, and it barely touches it, and it skims right through it. So it was so close. All right. One of the things too I need to do is on the top of this, I've got to put that this right here. Comes with just like a regular shock would have, that rubber piece and the metal piece. I'm just going to pull it out of this bag. Get everything out of the bag. There we go. So I got I guess they gave me a locking nut for the top because there's 2 nuts in there. So what I'm gonna do, I think that's what I'm gonna do right there. All right, so I'm gonna preload this side. There's a, just like a regular shock. I'm gonna put it together like that. I'll slide it right on over this thing, like a regular shock would. Put the spring, oh, you know what else I need to do? I got them sitting over there. Oh no, I got this one over here. I got to put this isolator on. There's what I used last time. I just used tie ties. But you could probably use like sewing thread or something. But these aren't like the big thick tie ties. These are like the tie ties that, I mean, the tie ties I'm using right now are like the tie ties that you would use on like bread. Like something real thin that's out of the way, but enough to hold it in place so that when I put the spring up there, it doesn't knock it out of place. Because what's up underneath there, which most of you guys probably already know, there's a 2 things that come down like a shoulder, maybe 3, and the spring goes over it like that, and it keeps it centered as your shock comes up. So you don't want to come in a little cockeyed. It won't seat right. So what I'm going to try to do, I say try because, and I injured my my knee at the gym the other day, actually about a week ago. I'm just now starting to get full range. I wonder how to get this. You know what? Wonder if there's a trick to rebound compression. What I'm going to do is I'm going to back my my rebound off a little bit, and I'm going to do. I'm actually going backwards now. I know you can't see it on camera, but what I'm doing is I'm backing off compression and rebound, and I'm going to make it easier. And then what I'm going to do is, let me get you around so you can see. I just back this all the way off again so it's really soft. Because I'm not sure if it matters to get the, I got to get the shock up. Oh, there we go. There we go. All right. Now now I can go back. So I'm going to end up doing it again. 1, 2. All right. Let's see if we can get this in. Might be a little difficult because this lower A-arm doesn't want to go down very far. But we'll see. There we go. There we go. Just got to get her in. All right, hold on. There we go. We're in. I think you kind of seen that from. Yeah, I'm gonna put the dot bottom. I'm gonna have to line the bottom ones up. So what I'm gonna do is put these bottom ones on, so don't move around on me. And I think what I need is the kind of a, and I gotta be careful not to mess up my shock. I just need to freaking pry that thing into place. So got the two, there we go. I've got the two bolts into the lower A-frame. These nuts are nylon threaded locking nuts, so you don't have to worry about them coming off either. So right now we're at the basically the highest ride height of the car because these are down at the bottom. But I bought spanner wrenches and they should be here maybe tomorrow. So that won't keep us from finishing the install. It'll just keep me from being able to put some kind of ride height to it. And it's not on the ground yet, so it's not going to get a true ride height. So I've got that. I can tighten down these bolts and then take a jack this up a little bit, because this is through, but I don't think it's enough to get, well, maybe it is. I don't think so though, because this rubber bushing is kind of thick, so it's going to have to, yeah, we need to come up about a 1/2 inch. So what I'm going to do is tighten this down, and then I'm going to jack it up, and then I'll be able to start the bolt up, or the nut on top. So you can see I've got the nut and the lock nut there on. This is all bolted down on the bottom. I've got those two adjusted to the 8 clicks I had been telling you about. So now what I need to do is put the spindle back on. So I'm going to put the bottom right there. Alright, so we got that one on. Now I'm just going to start these. And I already ran some grease, wheel bearing grease over top of these threads. Stick this castle nut onto the ball joint. Tighten it down as far as I can by hand. Now I'll push this up like this. You can see I've got grease on there. I haven't greased the ball joint. I just put grease on the shaft and the. So I'm gonna jack it up, get it lined up, and then there we go. Come on, baby, just slide right in there. All right. So now that one's on. Where's that other castle nut? Should put my cotter pins together, that way I'm not searching for everything all over the place. And then this one, I'll put this one on. All right guys, my camera died and I plugged it in and just kept going. So I'm pretty much complete now. There's only one thing I need to do. I just did everything in reverse order, got the spring in, tagged it on top, put the bolts through the bottom, and then once them were tight, I tightened these down. So there's the top of that. Brakes are back on, just same as the reverse. Put the tie rod on, put all the new cotter pins in. I went to the other side and did it. I ran into one little problem, but it's not that big of a problem, is on my tie rod, the nut won't go all the way down. It only goes partially down until it hits the castle piece of it. And I think what I did is when I was trying to knock it out, I smashed it and then I distorted it. So what I need to do is buy me another castle nut so I can run it down. Those threads on the tie rod, they look fine. It's just the castle nut's kind of distorted. And I don't know if you remember, but when I was trying to take it off, I backed it off and then I started smashing it with a hammer to try to pop the tie rod out. And what I did is I jacked it up. Not a big deal. I will just get another castle nut. So yeah, so far not bad. One of the things that I'm looking at right now is like how hard it's going to be to adjust these things with the spanner wrenches. But I got the spanner wrenches that you can put a 3/8 drive in, and maybe that will afford me a little bit more room than just the big handle on it. And again, since this is on jack stands, I'm not going to be able to set ride height either. I'll just have to do that once it's on the ground and the anti-seize off. I think if I was to do it all again, the only issue that I see for myself, and it's not a functional issue, it's more of a aesthetics issue, is I would have gotten the silver anti-seize vice the copper sensor free. So the one I got was, or the one I had was copper sensor free, and or sensor safe. So yeah, that's the one I got. Sensor safe. So high temp. It didn't need to be high temp, but you really can't even see it from here. But I guess for me, I would gone the silver route. But that's the only thing I have that I would do differently. But all right, guys, let's not belabor this too much longer. Thanks again for watching, and I'll figure out what I'm gonna do next. Later.